internally and like going to be
That was me.
sharing this more publicly as the ARM API comes out. And so our goal today is to get you guys kickstarted on the ARM API. If you guys had experience vibe coding or not vibe coding, this will be a really great and easy introduction. And hopefully you'll be able to build really cool custom internal tools and maybe share with us in the future. So I'm going to share my screen. Is everybody able to see this okay? Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to drop this link, which is our quick guide, and let me know if you guys are able to get access to that. Somebody give me like a thumbs up if it opens properly and you can see that is not JDR because he's on the Wheelhouse team. So
Oh,
Rick, Henry, anybody?
I got an artifact not found.
Mine's trying to make
Ah,
me re-sign up.
okay, okay. Let's do this then. The main pieces that you'll need from here is just a copy and paste. So it won't be too much. You'll just get that copy and paste instructions in our chat. But let me show you guys what is a two things that will look like the end goal, and then we'll work from the beginning of like how to get there. So an end goal is that our RM API allows you to get access into your listings, and you'll be able to see kind of like the data, be able to see settings, and create any sort of custom tool. This is a tool that I built for myself where I wanted to see anything that instead of a min max, I just wanted to be alerted if there were prices that were going below something that I wanted or above a certain range and be able to go through adding custom rules from like a weekend to seasons or events or dates. Also, I could get some alerts to know, hey, I should focus on these certain dates. Another one, another tool that this will probably be the thing that we'll be doing today is going to be like a histogram lead time of average ADR. JDR could speak more to it. I'm sure you guys have either built a tool like this or wanted a tool like this yourself. But I'm not a revenue manager, so I won't be able to speak too much on this. I just see some nods, so I'm hoping this something useful. Um, but we're going to start from a brand new chat, so please everybody open up a V0 account and put in a message in the chat if you guys need a second. But from here, what we're going to do is basically start adding some instructions that helps you guys kickstart the RM API. And what that looks like is when you're on this platform, you can basically start prompting it to build you stuff. But before we do that, we're going to hit this plus sign and hit instructions and hit new instructions. Now, what you guys are going to paste
a
is
lot of
going
people
to
couldn't
be,
open this, Edson. You didn't give us the
yep,
other option.
yep. I'm going to drop this
Gotcha.
paste these instructions into the chat right now. So
We'll find a way to get you this information so you can study it later. One of the things that highly recommend is if you haven't done a lot of vibe coding, like read through what these actually are, right? Like what it's telling the stuff to do, things like that. But these instructions should be helpful for you um, whenever you're basically connecting to these ones are built for the Wheelhouse RM API. And if you're using a different platform, you can probably ask one of those platforms to redo those instructions for your platform. And I'm sure Edson can give you a little bit more feedback on that too.
yeah, and I'm just dropping in this link so it's a little bit easier and you guys have access to this after our recording too. So let me do this too. How do you rename
You just click in the, oh, gotcha.
instructions? And then this is going to be design. And for here, what I am basically doing for you guys and dropping this in is these are instructions that just helps the LLM understand our API docs a little bit better, guides it through some of the troubleshooting that typically happens. And all you're going to do is you're going to hit that instructions tab here, select everything, and go back into Vercel where we had the add new instructions, paste that in, and say Wheelhouse API, and then hit add. The next thing you'll do is also under instructions, you're going to create a new one and you're going to type in design instructions. And you're going to go into this next tab on the left, copy and paste, and then also hit add. What this does is gives you a kickstart of the ARM API, but also the design guide or design instructions that you've added. We'll make sure that some of these visualizations just look a little less ugly from the beginning. So when you hit this plus sign instructions, just make sure both of these two pieces are checked. And then we're going to start off with um, help me get started with the Wheelhouse RM API. I want to see a list of my listings. Um, and we'll start with that. Is anybody having issues yet? Like, is this is also in the chat. Let me
If
drop this in.
somebody missed the Vercel sign up, could we get that?
We just told everyone to go sign up their own account with Vercel.
Oh,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
So if
And
you
then
have a
just
Vercel account, open it.
specifically, it's v0.app, and this is where you'll be able to go through.
Yeah.
What it will ask you to now do is add an environmental variable. This is where you're going to be storing your keys. Never put in your API key just in the chat here. You'll see something like this, or if you hit this project menu at the top right, there's something called environmental variables, and this is how you're going to add it in. So this should pop up for everybody, and this is where you're going to drop in your RM API key. I'm gonna stop sharing really quickly just so I can drop that in. But any can I get a thumbs up if
Okay.
people are
I got to
good?
give you something funny. I just put in help me get started with the RM API, and it's asking me which API are you referring to, and the first answer is the Rick and Morty API. I don't think I gave it the docs though, which is my fault.
It's totally that's so funny. RM stands for Rick and Morty from now on. Let's see. Actually, I'll share my screen again. And I'm just gonna revoke this. For the people who haven't started with the API, like grabbed an ARM API key, um, you can get this from the top right here. Oh, sure, Cody. So are you saying this specifically for V0 or um for something else, like getting access to the RM API?
Getting access to the API.
Okay.
Sorry, I already have the API key. I don't know, the first 2 minutes whenever you were connecting, you did two different connections. I was
Mhm.
trying to create stuff and listen, but now I'm behind.
Okay, no worries. I'm also trying JDR Wheelhouse being slow for you at all?
I don't know. What are we trying to do?
I'm just trying to log in. It's not loading. Um, so for the
It's not for me.
Okay. Um,
Do you want me
Cody,
to show where the API key is?
yeah, it sounds like Cody, you need these steps here of like once you put in those instructions, what to type in and
Yeah, but
what's
I'll go back and watch the video if you guys are going to send it out. That's fine.
No, no, we should all do it together. That's the point of this.
yeah. The goal is that we're going to have some people who are going to have some errors, and we want to work that out, and also just that'll cover kind of like um, any future issues that you might experience. So the process would generally be the same.
Okay, so I'm
So,
logged in. I
okay.
didn't get the exact steps of how you got to here with the messages.
Yeah, no worries. So in start a new chat and then hit that plus sign, instructions, and then you're going to hit new instructions. um, put in Wheelhouse API instructions, and in this doc, you'll have the instructions and design.
I'm sorry. I think I'm also kind of stuck at that spot too. So I'm on the v0.app,
Yep.
um, and I go to projects.
Yep. And top left over here, you'll see a new chat.
Okay.
And then once you hit new chat, you'll see something like this.
Yep.
This plus sign will
Yep.
give you a drop down, and then hover over to instructions,
Thank you.
and then hit add new instructions.
And that's just the copy thing you have at the top there, from 1207, the message in chat. Just copy that in there.
Yep. And you have access to the Google Docs, which will have instructions too.
Okay.
So just copy this one, uh, and create a wheelhouse instructions, and then copy the next one of the design and drop that in. After that, type in.
So one second, the design piece of it, and sorry guys, but
No worries.
I only see one Google Doc. Is there
On
two?
the left, there should be a tab. Let me know if you does that
Ah,
show up for other people or okay.
got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then just type in help me get started with the RM API, Wheelhouse RM API, and I want to see a list of my listings, and just make sure in those instructions you have these two checked.
And this is something where I said it before, but if you're done, go back and look through the instructions. You'll see that when we put in this variable, it's going to start doing stuff that's because of the instructions. So if you were doing this without the instructions, you would want to go through a process. Maybe we'll have some time to just show you the basics of what that might look like, where you might just give it the Wheelhouse RM API docs and say, how the heck do I get connected to this? The instructions, though, were developed to make this much easier, so you can always use those instructions as a starting point.
Yep. And JDR, do you mind just typing into the chat that like what you want in terms of that visualization that we've done before, the histogram? Um, and I'm gonna use that as like the thing to place in. But this might take like a minute or two to kind of get up and running. And what it's basically doing is reading our RM API docs, understanding what it needs in order to get connected. And it should start previewing um, just a list of listings, and we'll be jumping off from there. Is anybody already past that point? Like, you guys see your list of listings? Is it showing up properly?
So I got past that point and it generated the supposed list, but the only one that's pulling through right now is the wheelhouse sample. So I've been prompting and kind of asking it to recheck, and that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I had the
Gotcha.
same thing. My listings are shared with me. Um, the email about getting the key, there was an update that said that if we do have them shared with us, we can use our own account. So I wonder if that doesn't work
They
for
should
you.
work that way, but it's possible that our engineer was wrong in terms of that it's actually been released, which is unfortunate.
Um, Rick, so are you seeing only Wheelhouse samples, or if you scroll down, you get some of your listings pulled into?
No, it's only bringing in the wheelhouse sample. But I did the same thing. After we got the email that we could just do it on our linked account, I did that as well. So I may go and generate another API key from our master account and maybe see if that works.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is if it's an API key issue, is that we could still build out all the visualizations and tools, and then when that is switched, you could just change the key and it'll start loading.
Okay, that's
Um,
cool.
Is anyone
Yeah.
getting this with who doesn't have shared listings is anyone getting the things?
I don't know if it's been mentioned. The only thing I've got too is hypotheticals that I've created, but no actual listing.
Looks like JDR, do you think it's yeah, what are your thoughts
I think
on
Amber
the
and Andreas were wrong, and when I confirmed that shared listings didn't come through, they were incorrect because it is planned that they're going to come through, but it's not actually in production right now, and they told us wrong, and then we ended up giving people instructions that are going to be really limited for us now, unfortunately.
mm,
Um, which is annoying, but I mean, I think everyone on this call is going to be using shared listings. That's okay. We can move forward and show you what we're doing here. It because these next steps are gonna kind of be like us typing this up. But if I think Rick and Brian, if you guys can get into your main account and get a key, Sasha, if you have access to Josh's and can make the key on Josh's, you can get it pulled up. But unfortunately, I think
Yeah, I just created
we were
one.
just incorrect on the shared listing thing, and I apologize for that.
I think with the samples, we'll still be able to work through this. But the
Mhm.
one thing I'm going to type in next is going to be when I click on a listing, I want to see a visualization of, and then JDR, help me out. You want a histogram.
I'm typing this up. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm almost done.
So now what I'm going to be doing is JDR is going to be putting in like another message in our chat of what kind of visualization he wants, and just copy and paste that in there once he has that through. And as we're going through this too, anybody have prior experience using these coding agents to create tools for themselves? I know Henry, you've done this before since we had that conversation. Um, okay. So before you guys type in,
Let me show you one thing too before we do this next step because I have mine up. The thing to note too is so when Edson did this, it just pulled a list of listings and channel and ID. You will get differences as you do this. So if I show you what I got, for whatever reason, with the same instructions, it produce something slightly different initially. So like when you get this, and I'm sure for you guys with the sample, it's going to do slightly different things. And this next step is like we're going to tell it to do something specific, but a lot of the iteration on that Edson's going to show you is just telling it like, I could very easily go like move that base price thing. You know, if I don't want this here, but keep in mind it's going to produce stuff early, and the better your instructions are and the better your like product scope is, the more specific you're going to get. But it is okay to just like be simple and then start iterating, especially as you're first learning. That's how a lot of us started doing it, is you just kind of like, oh, that's weird to produce that. Actually, I want this like this. And you kind of just go back and forth. Over time, you'll get more efficient in terms of like planning the product scope. And that's honestly where like the instructions came from that Edson developed.
And what I'm just typing in is when I click on a listing, um, I want to pull reservation data. And
Oh,
so
sorry, Edson. I wrote that in a way that was like allowed aggregation.
that's totally fine.
Yeah, just keep that in mind if you're adjusting it.
Yeah, I just want the beginning piece of like when I click a listing. The one thing that to keep in mind is um, we want to make sure that we're only pulling data from a listing that we selected. This kind of just makes it easier on the API and hopefully have a little bit of reduced errors. So I'm just gonna put in that revise and we'll see what this ends up coming out with. Um, Anybody have gone through and already pasted something in or gotten a result back if you already have pasted something in?
I'm waiting on the histogram to populate right now. We did get the listings through our master account, so that did work.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like it's just shared listings is like uh the main issue.
I'm a little lost in how to fix the API key. It keeps telling me to just paste it in a dialog that it's opened, but it hasn't opened the dialog. So,
Yeah. Okay, so great. This is a great segue as this is happening. Sasha, if you see, do you see these three dots at the top right corner? And if you see like a quick second segue, if there's like an allow or command, just hit allow. So Sasha, hit that project menu and then hit environmental variables. And
yeah.
if it's asking you to open in Vercel, you can open in Vercel. If you have the access to just like add a new key, do that. Does it say just add or does it say open in Vercel?
It says open Vercel.
Okay.
I felt like I already have it open, so that's why I did it.
Okay. So open that up and then on this top right, hit add environmental variable and then in all caps, write wheelhouse underscore API underscore key. And then this value is where you are going to drop in your API key.
Seeing it already exists, so I just like kind of,
Okay, so you see this, right?
yeah.
Okay. Then back into the chat, just mention saying like you now should have access to the Wheelhouse API key in environmental variables. I'll type that in.
It won't let me save the new one because I will not put this.
Edson, stop sharing real quick. Can you share your screen, Sasha, when Edson stops sharing?
So here,
I think you have it saved already.
Yeah, it looks like you
no, I
already have
do
that
have it
saved.
set. I'm trying to replace it, but remember I had to share and I
Oh, I
get a new
see. I
API
see.
key.
Right. Okay.
So I
Um,
tried to do edit here, but it like wouldn't let me. Oh,
No.
there it goes. I think it tried to save it when I deleted it or something. Or
okay.
copy it.
Looks like you should be good then with that save. Now maybe try refreshing your V0 app and see if it's pulling in the right listings now.
Refresh the page.
And the way that I would refresh, if you guys have like a question of like, oh, I think it's pulling incorrectly. It should be good. This top right button, there's a refresh and there's this power button. If you hit that power button, it's like a hard reset. It that should clear things up. And if you're having additional issues with it, that's totally fine to just write back into the chat feature and say like, I'm going through X problem and um, I have these resources, like the API key is already here. Um, and it should start resolving itself. But anybody have luck yet on the histogram? Has it fully rendered?
Mine looks like it's fully rendered, but I don't have any data that it's really pulling since it's just samples.
That's mine says the same thing. It says there is no data when I select state 8 months. It just says no reservations.
Let's see.
And it trimmed
Bryant,
it down from about 1,800 to about 50 listings.
let's see. Let's see. Bryant, do you mind sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you try, is this like
I don't know where the sample set came from, honestly, because it's 50 random units. It's not a specific buildings. It looks like it's kind of a mix of 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms for us too. I tried just a couple of months at first, just to yeah, and on that one, it's
is it possible for you to try selecting only one? Does your app have that ability to just select?
oh, there
Oh,
it goes. Now that I selected all, now that I selected one, it worked.
okay. So this
Okay.
is actually a really good moment here for like a education piece. So our RM API, we have like a certain number of like what we can do. If you're asking it to pull in all of your listings, that's like a lot of data that we need to pull in. And you might end up getting an error because of that, which is maybe the reason why they said no reservations.
Hmm.
Um, the way that we might get around this is either A, we narrow down the amount of listings that we select,
Hmm.
or B, we can ask it to do something called caching. This is pretty technical, but a good thing to write into your chat here might just be like, um I'm getting too many reservation, like no reservation found. I
Yeah.
think we're pulling in too much data. What is a way that we could make sure that we could either be selective or store some data in a way where we can get that aggregate together? And let me know if this made sense, this like example of like, we have a limit on how much data you could pull all at once, and that's
No,
probably
I figure
reasonable.
if anyone's gonna break it, it's probably us with, almost 2,000 listings out here. So that makes sense to,
And I think the learning too is like they're probably it made the decision to do 50 listings because of the
yeah.
limit. Um, it also like sometimes it's as simple as being like because of like this is something that you just have to practice asking it and then asking it to fix things. But thinking through the prompt you give it, it's like because I asked it for the filters, it may just be like you might just need to tell it like when no filters are selected, just show all the reservation data, and you can try doing things like that. Like it might have just programmed in, which is why when you start selecting some filters, it starts to show some data. But you can also just ask it things like, this isn't working correctly. I should have data in January 2020 or June 2026. Why isn't that showing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and it's totally fine to just start asking it things like that, especially as you're learning.
Uh, Dwight, I see that you've can't come off mute. Is there are you experiencing something similar or have a different question?
Talking to me, Edison? No, no,
Yep.
I'm just, we're just watching right now, and we're gonna
Okay.
just, but yeah. I mean, if you have all the documentation, like the instructions, I saw the Google link and setting up the key and the labeling, all that stuff, and we can just kind of go through Vercel with the steps you gave. I'm trying to just follow along now before trying to troubleshoot my issues.
Yeah, no worries. Okay.
Edson, can I show mine real quick?
Yeah, let me.
Yeah.
So this was off the same prompt that I asked Vercel as what you guys all put in and Brian put in. And you can see it came up with something very different, right? Part of this is because our prompt is fairly vague. But it gave me, initially it's pulling in data. It decided to add this pricing recommendations for some reason. Oops, what just happened? Oh, okay, so it's broken itself. Where did you go? There we go. Okay. So it started with data. Um, it also didn't listen to me about ADR totally, or it interpreted overlaid as being a column. So the first thing I'm just going to ask it here is like, have ADR be a line instead of a column. Uh, we'll just give it something simple. But it did also interpret like being able to select multiple units here. So this is what we kind of mean by like it's going to come up with different stuff. Like all of you should probably are getting something different is my guess, right?
Yeah, mine is quite a bit different.
Yeah. And so initially when you're working with this, I would just, do these little questions and try to get it to the point where you want to get it and have it experiment and see what it's doing, right? As you get better at it, it really comes down to like writing much better, more specific, like laid out scope for your original project because this is pretty vague when you really think about it. You know what I mean? That's why we're getting so many different things. But you can see that went and fixed this. Um, if I click this, let's see if this breaks again because this broke before. I'll add a bunch of stuff here. Okay, so Vercel, when I select multiple units, it doesn't appear to be aggregating the data correctly. What is wrong? You can ask it stuff like that, right? Just ask it like, tell me the errors you're seeing, or like, tell it what it should do. It's like when I select multiple units, it should count all of the reservations together and come up with, the histogram, what's going on here. And you can ask it to like troubleshoot itself or tell it what it should do and, just interact with it until it gets where it's going. Anyway, I'll hand it back to you, Edson. You can kind of go forward with the next steps.
Just replying to Rob real quick.
I'll show you. So you can see it's actually fixing this as it's troubleshooting based on when I just asked it that it's wrong. It's not aggregating well. And now it's starting to aggregate correctly. So think of yourself like a therapist. You're a robot therapist now. You'd be like, what do you think you're doing wrong?
The other question I had there was it had like $5,000 and $6,000 ADRs. Is it summing those two? Because you may need to make sure it's calculating some of the data correctly on some of them too, or maybe that's just the actual number.
No, it's a great point. It probably is summing it. And so you'd be like, hey, these numbers in ADR don't look correct to me. I want to make sure that we're using an average of the ADRs for the reservations made in this time frame. You could also ask it to send you like, hey, can you send me a list of the reservations that are going into this table so I can verify them? Um, things like those are all good things to do.
Yeah, we've run into that in the past when we've kind of vibe coded some of these things that we've built for like projection tools and stuff, where if you don't double check the data, it's a little wonky sometimes.
Yeah. And we are working on like an MCP layer to also help like the AI just know the use cases of some of these things. Is this one yours, Edson?
Yeah, this is what I have. And I have it where I'm like selecting a specific listing. Um, how would you kind of like me to guide this through, or does anybody have like
Let's do this, Edson. Ask it to, when you click on a bucket, for it to give you a table of the reservations in that bucket with the lead time, the creation date, the check-in, check-out date, the ADR, and what listing it's in.
so when I click on a bucket, give me a table where we can see reservation data, check in, check out, and what other pieces?
Check-in, check-out, uh, creation date, and ADR, and what listing it's in. And let's tell it to order it by lead time.
And as I'm running through this, Rob, um, were you able to paste that quick troubleshoot prompt that I posted, saying that like um it's probably not pulling the listing IDs correctly? Has it responded positively, or you're still getting some like robot hate?
Still thinking about it.
Still thinking about it. It's
Yeah.
okay.
It says it's trying to fetch the full listing data.
All right. And for people who are maybe like you're already starting to get the hang of this, just start asking for like additional tools, tables. You could even ask it where you want to like say add filters or sort your data. Those start becoming pretty useful in terms of like UI, and this is like a big reason of like this RM API being a really strong addition to your tool belt is that you you can now create any tools that you want. Um, we should be exposing almost everything, and the biggest part about this is if you guys have like data or other tools from maybe not just Wheelhouse, you could start combining these things. So maybe you have reservation data, like old reservation data that you want to start ingesting and having that compared. Um, this will this whole process that you're doing here is possible. And while this is loading, JDR, is there any other tools that is typically really helpful for revenue managers um, or maybe even if anybody has their tool right now that they are feeling brave to screen share, I'd love to kind of like work through um, kind of like what you're seeing. Got any additional stuff, JDR, on like what
Uh,
you want to build?
well, I think just some examples of like, well, nice. So it's doing that. Um, let's maybe make another tab and we can just start from scratch. If someone has an idea, we can talk about like what's a BI situation that you would maybe think to have someone on the call.
Maybe a year or over the years comparison for
Sorry, say
holidays
that.
and things, right? Holiday comparisons, year over year.
Holiday comparison year over year. Okay. So let's have it make another tab so we can leave this up because this is essentially a web page, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Edson, let's just start with something really vague. and we can iterate on it. So we can tell Vercel, hey, Vercel, I want to do something where this gives me year-over-year analysis of my performance for major American holidays. So we'll keep it really vague, and then we can just iterate on it.
So create a new tab uh from this chart. Um, create a new tab from this chart, and I want to see year over year comparison um for major US holidays.
You have a $10 booking in there, Edson. Is that real?
Oh my God. Yeah. I had somebody who
This is
um
Edson's property.
I have a brand new property. I have brand new property. I have like 8 reviews, and somebody said the place was too hot and they're going to cancel their reservation. And I told them we're just gonna drop the like I'm just gonna refund you. Stay there. It's pretty much free. Just give me a good review. Because at that point I thought that he's like I'm not gonna get a rebooking same day as he's like trying to cancel. So yes, that $10 booking is real because I had to refund somebody, and Airbnb doesn't allow you to change the prices to 0, but you can change it to $10.
I'm gonna say, Edson, you should have done that via the accounting ledger.
It was awful. And then he had the audacity to start giving me all these things that were wrong just because the place was a little too hot. AC guys, make sure every property has AC. Um, cool. And Russ, I see for the which listings need attention. I would love for you to maybe type in a little bit more into the chat of like, how are you defining what needs more attention? Like, is it lack of reservations? Is it maybe we know the average lead time in a booking and we're missing 5 days or 10 days? Um, I think this would be like a good exercise of like how do we go from like something vague to something more um focused, and that will help us get a clear understanding of like what UI will pop up.
Yeah, I think it would be probably if it's declining year over year more than 20% in bookings based on last year. I guess there's quite a lot of variables probably.
Yeah. Let's do then that might be let's see. I want an alert for type this in. Want an alert for my listing that is um 20% lower, or sorry, I want a red flag icon next to my listing if year over year we are performing below 20% of its occupancy. Um, the one thing I'll do for this is I'm going to say make 20 listing pages, or actually um, create these flags if I select the listing and hit a button that says run or analyze. Mainly because I'm only doing this piece of like only run this urgency flag mainly because since you guys have hundreds or thousands of listings. I just want to mitigate that issue of like, oh, we're pulling in too much data and you're just going to get an error. And I want the ability to just like kind of like select something, get it analyzed. But you could see if you were to do this a little bit more structured, you could probably get it so it runs like every minute or every hour run 10 listings through this analysis, and then you could start looking and sort them there.
That's kind of advanced stuff. I would honestly
But
suggest if you're just getting started, just try to work on individual listings first and then start to aggregate. But keep in mind you will hit limits if you're doing more, and we will be doing more trainings later and also include in our MCP instructions on how to make it cache stuff. And there are like Vercel is great. There's some database options directly tied to Vercel, and so you can tell Vercel, hey, I connected Superbase or I have this database integration, create a database and pull this in every hour, things like that. So that tends to be pretty advanced. I would say as your first learning, just mess around with building tools on individual listings, maybe getting aggregates, but limit it to like maybe no more than 20 to 50 at a time and see if it starts to break down. You can also ask it for ideas. So like this is the criteria I used, Russ, or the one I used based on what you said. And you're just going to have to validate it and iterate on it, right? One other thing to keep in mind is if you haven't seen our RM API docs, these are worth a look. Often we always give these to you give them to the AI that you're working with as well. But this is what you can pull out of the API currently and do. And if you just, does anyone know, has anyone not been familiar with reading like an API doc? Oh, that's cool. It made your, so Sasha, do you see what showed up on Edson's? This was its first iteration here. And so we could start to tell it like, hey, I want ADR actually overlaid on my booking count. Um, and I want last year's ADR overlaid on my booking count, things like that.
Yeah, I feel like that would be kind of useful. I think we have too much information for ourselves going from my
Yeah,
going
well,
from
that's
my
something you can
credit.
tell it too, is I actually want to look at just one, I want to choose what holiday and only look at that holiday, but have it break out how my different listings are doing and ask it to kind of rebuild it, right? While you're doing something with that to make it think a little bit more on an iteration, Edson, I just want to walk through the docs.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
I'm not going to walk through them briefly, or I'll walk through them briefly just to give you an idea how they look, but these docs will show you what you can do in the system right now. If I click on listings, these where it says like get, those are like a function that the AI can do. So it can go do this request to retrieve all listings. That was what was in the instructions to get the list of listings. And this is what it's going to return. So you can get an idea of what fields are available by looking over on this right side. So like we give you the listing ID, the wheelhouse ID, title, nickname, description, and all this other stuff, right? And if you go here, you can see what else is here. But this is what's going to be returned when this function is done by the AI. And so this is one call, right? So it'll go do this for every listing. I think retrieve all listings is one call. If we go to recommendations, get daily price, you can see that this is like it can go get the price. This one, I guess, is base price. If you scroll down, you'll see there's other options here. They're associated with this, but you can get the check-in, check-out calendars, get minimum, maximum prices, get daily prices, and this is the format it'll come back in. If you go to, let's see, reservations is another big one for when you're building BI tools. Get reservations. It'll show you what information is available in our reservation tables. So this is a good thing to just look at in terms of like what is actually available for me to get. You can see we do have changelog. It'll tell you how we're changing this. I'll bring that up in a second. But it's worth just kind of checking and seeing what's available here in terms of what the system will provide via the API. Now, one of the things that is going to happen is we're going to be doing a pretty substantial addition to this from a metrics perspective sometime in June. Is that about right, Helen?
Yeah. Sorry, it took
So
me a
to,
second to go on mute.
yeah. So we're going to be offering a lot more metrics in June. So like right now, actually like same time last year data can be a little bit of a hassle to get because you need to pull the reservation tables for those time periods in and then ask it to compare it. We'll be providing just pre-calculated metrics that should be a lot faster for you to access across the board, if that makes sense, right? So if you wanted to get same time last year comparisons, you would want to tell the AI, hey, let me choose a date range and then go get this year's reservations for these listings and last year's reservations for that equivalent time period for these listings, and then go do this calculation based on, filter it by booking date and do this and give me the values. Sometime in mid-June, we'll have a field that's just June, same time last year, occupancy difference, right? So you'll see more and more of that, but as you kind of look into this, I think you can get some ideas of what might be possible to build out and how you might work with it.
JDR, can I do a little PSA as well?
Mm-hmm.
So, as you all are playing around with it, and this is brand new, we want to make sure that the RM API is as powerful as it can be for you. So, we're actively getting feedback. So, we'd love to hear what are you building, as well as are you hitting the rate limits? Since this is new, we've set the rate limits at a certain level, but we're aware that as people play around with it, you'll most likely hit those rate limits. So, in the future, we want to have a better idea of where we want to set that at. So, it's helpful to have your feedback on like what you're running into so that you're unblocked on building the most powerful things for yourself. And the third piece is, as a follow-up to what JDR was saying, is there a metric? Is there something that you're like, oh my God, this is missing? Like, I really wish we had this? Let us know. We'd love to know what are the key things that are on top of your mind as you're building. And so we want to continue to iterate and make the RM API the most flexible and best way for you to create whatever it is that you need to run your business the best that you can. So I'll drop my email as well, and I'm sure JD or Nedson will share things too. But please share feedback so that we can continue making this even better for y'all.
The other thing too is we will be doing trainings like this pretty regularly going forward. So you're welcome to join more. We'll probably start segmenting them. For now, we're going to just do this one where it's like just connect and show how easy it is to ask it stuff and get it to iterate just to get people into it. We will start doing more advanced trainings on like things that we're thinking about, which is like, we could do one on doing same time last year data, or we'll probably eventually do training on how to like get the AI to pull reservation data and cache it so you don't have to hit our API for it all the time, kind of things, right? Um, but in the meantime, too, because we want feedback, we want to know what you're doing and kind of help out. If you have questions about something you're trying to work on, you're welcome to just hit me up. We can grab time. We will also probably set up a regular, just kind of open office hours for builders to meet with, me and Helen and maybe Edson to just, chat through like, hey, I'm building this, like this is where I'm running into problems, or what do you guys think is going on here, and just be able to talk with us and with each other about like how to best troubleshoot things that you're doing. Um, and the last piece is our chat in the Wheelhouse platform is equipped to help you with some API related stuff. So obviously, in many cases for the nitty gritty, it's best just to ask either Vercel or, take what's going on and go send it to Claude and be like, what the hell's, why isn't this working? Like Vercel can't figure it out. But our own team members are trained and they can answer a number of questions, particularly about being connected. We can also see your calls. So if you want us to be like, hey, what is this actually calling? I can't figure it out. You can ask them for help with that. You can also see your calls. So if you go into the platform and I look in the logs, you can see what it's doing. So you can go back and check and be like, okay, well, why is it hitting this table? Right? Like I didn't want it to hit that, like, what is it actually doing there? And you can see the parameters of what is being sent and happening. And you can see this is hitting the rate limit, right? But that is, I think, we part of this development of this API and why we've taken a little bit longer. I know we've talked to you a lot. But why we've taken longer to put it out is we have been building the tools like this so you can actually like troubleshoot it. It's not just like, here's our API docs, figure it out. It's like, we want to give you the tools to actually be able to build off of this, right? And so you can see your own calls. I mentioned before we'll have an MCP server sometime in June too. That MCP server is nobody knows what an MCP is. It's basically like a way for the AI to get instructions from us about how to use the API. We will include instructions about dealing with rate limits and also things like, hey, if you see that this is going to hit rate limits, tell the user that, they're going to pull too much data if they try to do this, right? Um, so we're going to be continuing to develop these right now. You guys are kind of part of the early group, so just break it and let us know what's broken, or come hit us up and say like, hey, I want some help figuring this out. That's our goal is to be available. My role right now is primarily around this. Um, but yeah, hope you guys think it's interesting and fairly exciting.
I will actually, I know we're at time, so similar to what JDR and Helen has said, if anything breaks, if you guys have any questions, our team is here to support. But I will actually uh stay on here for another like 20 to 30 minutes because I just realized I got a text message from a friend. He wants a kind of like an investor report on my property because we want to build another one. And I'm probably going to take this moment for the next 20 minutes to see if I could create like a investor report for him. So hopefully he gives me money in the next month, but um I'm gonna take the next 20 minutes to kind of build that out. So feel free to like stay on if you guys like. Um, it'll be like a real use case scenario of like something that you could build. This could I could imagine this helping with like uh owner acquisitions. Like you want them to connect their listing, they're seeing whether or not they switch over, and you could do kind of like an ROI report or do something custom. So that's I'm gonna stay on for the next 20, 30 minutes to do that. Feel free to stay, or if you guys hop, just email us, message us if you need help. All right.
Very worth watching Edson if you have the time. He's really good at knowing how to optimize both the prompts, but also the pricing and the cost, right? Like knowing when to go to Claude or ChatGPT to ask it to make something more specific so that you don't have to ask 10 questions to Vercel and pay for them all. I am
Yeah.
going to hop, Edson. I got to run an errand, but I'll see you in an hour.
Sounds good. See ya.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Let me make sure you're the host.
Yeah.
You're the co-host. Okay, so I can just leave.
Cool. If anybody does have a question of like what I'm doing, feel free to just like, unmute, say it and ask me. But I'm just gonna be like live talking through my thoughts on this. So right now I'm trying to create an investor report with my property, and I think the biggest things that I would be looking for is that I want one. Give me a button where I can hit export and create a PDF to download. Download to let's see. I'm going to just make sure that I'm just focusing in on the days that we've been operating today. We're going to set this to February. I want to see a weekly breakdown per month on the revenue was generated, and also a breakdown of weekday versus weekend occupancy and the average ADR for those. Let's see. And then 3, right now I'm working through kind of like a P&L. So just trying to make sure that I have the ability to put in some operating costs and why and kind of show what's happening over the past few months. So I might write something like what my costs. Emily, how are you? Let me know if you're still here, if you just dropped.
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm just kind of listening along.
Yeah. Have you been able to access any of this like earlier or what this kind of like your
Well, my
what
Zoom crashed, so I missed like the first 10 minutes of it. So I came back in and then I had to get the new API key and all of that from the original account versus the shared account. Then it was telling me I didn't have any deployments, so I didn't want to like stop the whole class because I
ah
missed the first 10 minutes or so.
okay, well while this
So
is
I wasn't sure
loading,
if we needed to like have a put it through GitHub or where the deployments actually live, but I wasn't able to actually start a chat within the project. So, but I'm doing other
understood.
stuff on the side with different agents. So this is really interesting to see.
Understood. I mean, if you want, like I'm happy to take the moment here to kind of like go through like getting you kickstarted with it, if that's something that you want to do.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you want to share your screen? And we could kind of go through getting you kickstarted here.
Sure. No problem.
You get you get
One on one.
one-on-one help because you are the one to stay.
Let me find the right one to share. There we go. Okay. So I have the documents and then I
Awesome.
made a project. But when I start a new chat within it, it says no
Mhm.
production deployment found. So I'm
Let's
assuming it
just
needs to go through something like GitHub.
um I wonder if we can just hit that new chat because I actually haven't seen that error before. But maybe try hitting new chat instead.
Okay. Like not within the project, but here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then let's start with hitting this plus sign.
Okay.
And you're going to hit instructions.
I have
Oh,
both of the
you
instructions set up.
okay, awesome. Then let's start with saying in the chat, um, help me get started. Uh help me get started by connecting to the RM to the Wheelhouse API. I want a button where I can get see the list of my listings and a search button. Uh yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
And then it'll probably ask you to put in your RM API key, which I assume you now have.
Yes, and I did that by adding an environmental variable already, but I didn't do it through this chat. I went through a
Yeah.
project. I had to like tie it to a project, so it made me create a new one.
Oh, that's weird. That's weird. Okay. Well, hopefully if my instructions are right, you'll get like a little box where they'll be like, "Oh, plug it in." Um, but let's wait for this. There you go.
Oh,
So feel free
perfect.
to copy paste it there.
Let's see.
And I'm gonna quickly make it so you are stopped sharing. And then once that's pasted in and secure, feel free to hit share screen again.
Okay.
Emily, what team are you coming from?
Revzen.
Oh, awesome. RevZen is with Sarah Franzen.
Correct.
Awesome. I had the pleasure of like talking to her like when I first started at Wheelhouse. So it's
Oh,
awesome to.
nice.
Okay, now just hit allow. And just keep going through that. I think the interesting piece from the conversation I had with Sarah a long time ago is like she was showing me how she was managing all her listings in like a pretty organized way and like what kind of like experiments you guys were running and a
Right.
something that you guys would be able to do with a tool like this is kind of create like either comparisons or buckets of like different experiments. So if you have like two properties that have the same types of experiments, maybe you want to do like a side by side view and have it list out what the differences in settings are. Because Wheelhouse, we have like the performance page where you could do that side by side comparison, but maybe we're not showing you all the settings that we have on top of that. So you kind of flip back and forth. You could kind of
Right.
create a really like clear A/B test and see what are the differences in settings that you have applied. And maybe that would be like a really helpful way to know if like one one segment of your portfolio is doing better than the other.
Right. No, I love that.
Are there like certain tools that you have built yourself or tools that you've worked with or maybe tools that you and Sarah wish you guys had?
I think so I'm working on something that internally is like an alert system. I call it like the
Hmm.
haystack. You find a needle in a haystack.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I like that.
and it's something to help surface when you have outliers within your portfolio instead of having to always look for it.
Hmm.
So I think a good example is like on the call when we talked about a property being, 20% above or below last year, like that would surface in it. If you're looking at pacing or booking velocity. And so like I've been aggregating all of our individual knowledge into like a knowledge base so it can inform the decisions. So we just
Hmm.
kind of needed this layer to help surface them.
Gotcha, gotcha. Um, I think that would be, and how many listings do you guys manage?
Oh gosh, I don't know how many we have in aggregate. It's probably 2000 plus if I had to guess.
Got it. I'm just trying to think through maybe I'll like um I'll put it in the wheel that Google Docs like troubleshooting for for teams with like thousands of listings. Um the thing that I would probably say is like, and let me know if this makes sense. Since you have thousands of listings and you need to surface basically like which listings are like have that like little red flag. Um, if you were to ask Wheelhouse to pull all that data in one go, you'll probably get an error, right?
Right. And I don't think that would be the case because we are very segmented on who actually manages it. So we've got individuals. So it would never, I mean, there might be a portfolio health that we would build on top of it that could do that from an internal perspective, but from a daily revenue management ops perspective, we probably wouldn't be using it in that fashion
Yeah.
just because
And
it's so segmented.
um I feel like maybe uh, just in case you guys do have that issue regardless, even when it's segmented, because it could be a lot of data that you guys are pulling through.
Hmm.
I would definitely look into like asking it to create a database to temporary store your data. So then, rather than it pulling, maybe if since you guys have segmented listings, maybe it's like 100 listings, and you want to do all that data, and it's doing it every time. Maybe it'll be like you do 10 at for a little bit, and then you do another 10, but all of this gets stored in a database, and then
Right.
you ask it to do this, like fetch it every day. I want you to like do that. And as long as you're able to know that like um how you're storing this memory, this would help with the error of like because you guys have such a large portfolio. And that would be a good workaround. In addition to that, I think like uh what I hear really in what's really interesting with what you're saying is like maybe you're doing these flags, and this flag is your 20% below year over year. But you could start creating multiple flags, right? Of like maybe it's gap gap nights conflicting with gap night rules,
Right.
or like your minimum stays. And so then it can
Right. You
do
get a
that.
4 night minimum, but you have a 2 night gap, something like that.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that this will be like the power of the API is like, essentially we wish that we could multiply our engineering team to like hundreds of engineers and build everything for everybody. But in this case of like instead of waiting, you can kind of build it yourself. Um,
Right.
let's see if
It's
this
also
button
going to
works.
be what I'm also trying to use it for, is comparing our changes. So if what I want to get to the point, everything's obviously read only right now. What I want to get to the point is where it can make suggestions and I can accept those suggestions, but then go back in and see, was that a good decision? Like, what was the outcome of that? So I think that'll be really interesting because right now we don't really have a way to see that. It's aside from very intense documentation, which takes a long time.
Yeah. Do you use data AI frequently like yourself or
Yes.
okay. So I think a really cool thing to kind of like dive deep into is probably databases and like storing that because um what it sounds like to me is like you want to get probably a snapshot of what decision you're about to do, what are kind of like the results that are happening as of that day, and then you want to cycle back in like a maybe it's like a few months or a few weeks and kind of compare, right? But right now, if you don't take that snapshot with all that detail, it's kind of hard to realize whether or
Right.
not that decision has changed. So I think a database, like learning a little bit more about how to utilize a database will be like super helpful when it comes to building all this stuff out here.
100%. And I think that that's probably my biggest weak spot right now is just making sure it's all organized because I have like hundreds and thousands of markdown files and all of that within my agent ecosystem, but actually accessing it and, aggregating it. And it's just I need to get better at understanding A, where it's at and having I guess like a general SOP for how it's stored. Because right now I think it's
Mm.
very fragmented. It's just kind of pulling, notes I put through the chat here and things like that. And it's like, okay, I took this screenshot or I'm storing this here, but I don't actually have a way to go in and visually see it. So I've got to get better at that side of it.
Is You got my gears turning because like to me it sounds like you have like a lot of agents running or you have like a lot of these rule sets. So you're like on the AI spectrum. You seem like a lot on that progressive side, right? But what I'm hearing is that like you have a lot of fragment documentation. It's like, is it notes for how an agent works, or are you saying like there's fragment documentation of like per listing or per day or
as clearly, although they are using our knowledge on it, so it's open for interpretation sometimes.
Mhm.
But I'm used to working in spreadsheets and being able to like go in and actually see where the data is coming from. And right now I feel like there's this visibility layer where I'm relying on the agent's interpretation a little too much without having that underlying physical data that I can just go in and visually check just to make sure it's exactly what it needs to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I not in terms of what's it called? So not in terms of like the portfolio that I manage, but I've done a lot of work when it comes to using agents to do marketing outreach. And an example of this is like sometimes I might put something in when it comes to we have like a market API that we've connected to this outreach, and I just needed to make sure it wasn't lying to me, right? And so
Right.
it's giving me the marketing content like the ads and whatnot, but is it pulling the right data from the right
Correct.
market? And so what I did early on was I actually just used Google Sheets and told it like before writing into like creating the ad, write into this Google Sheet in this column explaining what data you're using, how confident you are, and I just put a few columns being like market chosen, reason why, analysis of the data, and then the final column was like the marketing email. Um, you could use there's different types of databases, but that helped me just store it in like a Google Sheets, which
Right.
was like super scrappy. But then you could start creating a like a dashboard similar to like what we're doing here, where it's like take this Google Sheet and just like visualize the decisions that XYZ has done. And it'll hopefully be easier to kind of parse through it that like, okay, this looks right, this looks wrong. Um, Let me know if that made sense. I know we're speaking in like really broad hypotheticals.
Right. No, it makes sense. And I think I kind of did it backwards. I created the dashboard and now I'm trying to map all of the things that I need to the correct points. And I'm trying to just make sure that's being done correctly and that the agents are following the directions. And so just not being able to have that underlying foundation of a Google sheet to go back into to look at it just to make sure like are you lying to me? Did you like I think that
Mhm.
they're directionally right, but directionally right doesn't cut it with what we're doing. So
I hear you.
I think I just did it backwards.
I hear you. Well, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy, like I do a lot of the AI builds at Wheelhouse, and happy to kind of like extend that past just like Wheelhouse or revenue management. And kind of like take a look, see if there's anything that you need help troubleshooting. Feel free to use me as a resource.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Once I'm a little more, I have my bearings a little more, I'll definitely do that.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you want to quickly hit the view listing piece and see if that works? And then I'm just going to type, see if it loads.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. And then we're going to do the here's the message in the chat of what you could send next. So this would be like that histogram that we were showing earlier. Um, in our Zoom chat, you could just type that in. So once you click X listing, um, hopefully it pulls in that histogram of like the ADRs.
Hold on, I have to find the chat.
No worries.
Even, oh, there it is. Did you just paste something new or are you telling me to just go back? Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Okay.
I pasted something new. Yep.
Okay. Nice. This is way easier than what I was trying to do.
Okay, awesome, awesome. That's good to hear. We JDR and I've done like 2 to 3 internal meetings where like we try to get everybody from our team um up and running, and as we really massaged out those instructions to hopefully make it super easy. But as long as this comes out, you should be good. And I would say like the best practices. I mean, it doesn't even sound like you really need best practices because it sounds like you're pretty deep into AI in general, but definitely just getting as much fleshed out of like what exactly you want to see is always really helpful. I always say that AI is like a really super smart intern, but an intern doesn't know um where like the knowledge book of your industry, and it doesn't know the business direction that you're trying to achieve. And so that's the goal, is to kind of give this super smart kid like the North Star of where to go.
Right, right. 100%. Your intern is being generous. I always call them toddlers. Super smart toddlers you have to like
Super,
raise to get to a certain point.
yeah, give it a bunch of instructions, and then at that point they graduate to being like middle schoolers
Yeah.
and so forth. Um, okay, cool. Well, I'll um let me shoot us an email if this is. I need to hop in like 5 minutes, so
Yeah.
but
No, it's fine.
shoot me an email if there's any issues or if you need some brainstorming on this. But I'm really hoping that this is going to uh this itself is gonna come out pretty good. So once you click a listing, hopefully you'll get like that chart of reservation data, and then you could keep building on top.
Perfect. I have a quick question. Is
Yeah.
are these instructions specifically for Vercel, or could they be for just how to utilize the data in
So
general? I haven't had
there's
a chance
only
to kind of read
one.
through them yet.
Yeah, there's one piece that is specific to Vercel, which is the environmental variable. But if you were to
Okay.
use a different model, like let's say you want to use Claude or Gemini or Codex, whatever other coding agent you want to use, just mention it that these instructions are were originally for uh Vercel, and it should like fix that one missing piece, but it will give you pretty good guidance of like what exactly is needed when sending API calls to our team. So it should work on every other agent. Are you
Perfect.
are you building on something specific? Like are you using Claude Code or
I have a Hermes slash Codex stack right now that I'm using. So I've got like a specific revenue agent that I've created based off of my knowledge base. So I want to give more guidance to them.
Okay, yeah, I think that that'll work. How are you liking Hermes? I've been hearing that recently, but I haven't tried it out myself.
I don't know if you've done OpenClaw yet, if you've tried that, but Hermes, I think, is better than OpenClaw in my opinion, but they both break. So you kind of both you need both of them because when one goes down, you could just have, it help you get the other one back up because they both have updates that come out all the time. And so you'll just be in the middle of chatting and all of a sudden they're just completely gone. But I like Hermes because it teaches itself. It learns over time. If tokens were not a question, I would definitely use Claude because Claude makes it like on steroids. But because I'm
Hmm.
allowed to use the Codex subscription through OpenAI, then I just can bill it under my subscription. Because I probably spent $1,000 just to build the RM dashboard I was trying to build, and I didn't even connect most of the data. Like most of the underlying data wasn't there. It's just dashboard
Yeah,
UI. So it was getting
man.
very expensive. But yeah, I definitely like Hermes. And
Interesting.
if you
I
ever
haven't
try it,
done
let me
the
know. I'll give you a lot of tips on what's worked and what hasn't worked because it's been a roller coaster.
I would love to have that conversation in the future because I haven't done the open claw Hermes like those full running agents, mainly because I was like kind of have a precious computer that I want to make sure it has like limited access to. Um
Right.
but I'm
You can do it on a
really
VPS. It's just a
curious.
little slower.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take a look at that because that sounds really interesting and would love having a conversation with you in the future. Just see like what does your day-to-day look like with AI? I feel like that'd be a
Oh
really
my gosh.
interesting.
We'll go deep down the rabbit hole, but if you want, I could set up some time and kind of show you. Just let me
Yes.
know.
Yes, I'll send you an email. I'll send you an email later today and maybe we can find some time to talk about it.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Edson. I know you got to run, so I appreciate you hanging back with me.
Of course, of course. No, I really appreciate you staying on. But yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. Yeah, since you seem like super into I have a good feeling that those instructions will translate well into whatever you're building today.
Perfect. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. See you,
All right.
Emily.
Take care.
Bye.
All right.